Hello, CME Nation. I am in mourning today because the one thing I did not want to happen this football season, the Buckeyes winning the national championship, actually occurred on Monday night. Yeah, not good. But not only did they crush the soul of Michigan fans, but they also broke the heart of my good friend and co-host, Pat Klatt. And honestly, doing that to Pat, that's where I draw the line, damn it. So yes, I'm here as always with my co-host, Pat Klatt. Pat, buddy, I gotta say, it's been a rough couple of weeks for you, brother. First, the Vikings disappoint, and now the Irish come up short. You know, the 2024 Beerman may have made a lot of jokes about your current dilapidated state as a fan, but I've grown. And as some people declare this month dry January, no. For me, I'm declaring it as Patuary. And that means nothing but niceness to Pat this month. Got it? All right. So no jokes again this week. We're going to just move on. And you and I, we are going to embrace together in our combined disdain for the Buckeyes and the Chiefs, but more on that later. All right. Now, we also have, of course, the one and only Sandman himself, Mr. Bill Sanders. Bill is basically the polar opposite of the Buckeyes. He's never won a national championship. When he hears Scarlet, he's only thinking about the hot chick from the Avengers. And most importantly, he's not a colossal asshole. All right, before we get into the show, let's tell everyone where they can find us. CMN listeners, you can find us everywhere, just like confusion in a Buckeye's head when someone says academic rigor. You can also find us on Instagram at Enter Sandman Sports. Visit our website at entersandmansports.com. And in all seriousness, guys, check out the new website. It is massively improved. We've made a ton of changes there. Very excited about that. Lots of articles, expert advice, our St. Louis Syndicate videos, all of our podcasts, and much, much more. Very, very cool. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enter Sandman Sports and follow us on Facebook at Enter Sandman Sports. All right, boys, in all seriousness, I do want to congratulate the Buckeyes and all of their fans for an awesome season. They truly were, in my opinion, the best team. And as much as it pains me to say it, congratulations, very well deserved. One related thing that I think can take us into the opening here, if we actually go back a week to the ending of the Ohio State-Texas game, last week we talked a little about defensive end Jack Sawyer stripping the ball from Quinn Ewers and racing the other way for a touchdown, just as Texas looked like they might be going in for the tying score. A lot of my buddies talked about that play all last week, and some think it is the most iconic play in the history of Ohio State football. So it got me thinking, what are the top one or two plays in the history of your favorite team's programs? Just, think about what are the most incredible, most iconic, most unforgettable plays, a play that you could just watch over and over again on the highlights. So Pat, buddy, why don't you lead us off, man?
For me, it would be we'll see you tomorrow night, Kirby Puckett, home run, game 6, where he also made that amazing catch up against the wall. But that's a good walk-off home run. We'll see you tomorrow night, game 6.
Great call,
Kirby.
Yeah.
Other one would be Randy Moss, breakout rookie year. I can remember a play against the Packers where we were just like, wow, this guy is unbelievable. But there was that one game against the Cowboys where he had like 3 catches, 160 some yards, and 3 touchdowns. And just watching him make, just reliving him making amazing long stride catches down the field.
We could probably have
hard to narrow it down to
15 plays for Randy Moss and iconic catches.
And then he mooned him, and then he mooned Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's another iconic moment for sure.
Yeah, that Puckett. Oh man.
So good.
That's a great
I can just picture it too, because they had that weird plexiglass wall out there. And I can just see him like making that catch, and I can hear that call in my head. Those are awesome moments. Man, I wish I had a World Series to think of and relate back to. But I don't.
Have you guys ever been in a World Series?
No. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for pointing that out. The it does
It's
lead
not
me.
biliary. We don't have to be nice
Yeah,
to
you know,
Bill. Just
That's fair.
Pat.
That's totally fair. I know. Pat's been through a lot the last couple weeks. But it does lead right into my first iconic moment, which has to be my favorite sports moment of all time, hands down, without question. And that's Edgar Martinez's double in the 95. What I don't know what series it would be, but it was the first round then. So the wild card series, whatever they call that, against the New York Yankees. And the Mariners were down 0-2, fought back, won game 3, won game 4. In that era, they actually had the away team play, or I guess the Mariners got the last 3 games of the series, which is just bonkers if you think about how that was all set up. It doesn't seem right, but anyway, they won game 3 at the Kingdome, game 4 at the Kingdome, game 5 at the Kingdome. There, goes to extras. Blackjack McDowell is in, and this is after they brought Randy Johnson in out of the bullpen, and he gave up a run. So the Mariners were down 1. Joey Cora leads off with a bunt base hit, totally out of the baseline. Should have been called out, wasn't. Buck Showalter comes out, throws a fit. It doesn't matter. They leave Joey on first. Griffey hits a single to right, Cora to third. So now it's first and third. Edgar steps up. Again, Blackjack had been unhittable the whole season, and he lines this double down the left field line. And I mean, I can still just feel that energy, and I get these tingles and goosebumps just thinking about Cora walks in, but Junior just like unbelievable speed to get around the bases, slides in, and one of the most iconic pictures maybe in sports history. It's him at the bottom of the pile with all these guys, including A-Rod and others, jumping on him. And the photographer got this shot. It's just Griffey's face with this whole pile of humanity. I mean, Seattle just went absolutely nuts. The thing is, and I'll cut this somewhat short here because I could go on forever about this moment, but it wasn't even just the moment. It wasn't just the Mariners that they had won that series and come back against the hated Yankees, winning 3 in a row to get to the ALCS. It was that baseball was actually on the brink of leaving Seattle. And so that season, the Mariners were 13 games back to start August. And they battled back to then win in a 1-game playoff against the Angels and then make that series. And I can just still hear Niehouse's call. He's talking about it just continues. And and it was just bedlam for all of Seattle. So just such a cool moment. And I shared it with my dad. We were there. And I think I've said this on a pod before, but we executed like the perfect jump hug, in the 300 level of the Kingdome. I mean, they play shout, everyone gets quiet, gets back up. I mean, we must have celebrated for 30 minutes after that play, just everybody in the Kingdome. So unbelievable. The second one I'll make quick. It's called the tip or the immaculate deflection in Seattle lexicon. And Richard Sherman, it was the 2013 NFC Championship game against the hated Niners. Colin Kaepernick drives him down the field, 30 seconds left, throws it in the corner of the end zone for Michael Crabtree. Sherman jumps up and tips the ball back, and Malcolm Smith is waiting for it, sealing the Seahawks' trip to the Super Bowl that they just destroyed Denver, 43-8. So led to our first Super Bowl win, and just an awesome moment. But anyway, awesome moments in Seattle sports that I'll cherish forever. So, Bierman, how about you?
Yeah, so lots of good ones for me for Michigan, but I will narrow it down to just 2. There's been tons of game-winning catches and runs and kicks. Even the 4th down stop against Alabama last year in the semifinal was special. But for me, if you're talking iconic in Michigan, it has to be related to the Ohio State game. So I will say the number 2 is punt return touchdown from eventual Heisman winner Charles Woodson back in '97 that propelled the Wolverines to win that game 2014 and then on to the national championship. But number 1, it's not only one of the most iconic for Michigan, but I think most college football fans in general know the play I'm about to talk about. It goes back to 1991 when Desmond Howard returned a punt against Ohio State and did his famous Heisman pose in the end zone after scoring. It is shown basically every year during that game, and I have a picture of it right next to me on my wall that I am looking at right now and look at every single day. Just one of the most special moments in Michigan history for us Wolverine fans, and something that I think about every time I watch a Michigan game, actually. So For the Bengals, I think it was a little more difficult. But I think I would have to say the kick by Evan McPherson in the AFC Championship game in Kansas City 3 years ago that propelled the Bengals to go to their Super Bowl. It was overtime. I remember watching the game at a party. Everyone just went crazy, jumping around and screaming. And I actually booked my flights to LA that night to go to the Super Bowl. And it was just it was a clutch kick. It was overtime. He knew, the whole team knew. All he had to do was make that, and we're headed to LA. I would say, yeah, those are the ones that come to mind. So. All right, boys. Well, that was fun to think about some of our favorite moments from our favorite teams. So hopefully we'll all get to experience a few more of those this year. Well, let's get into the show now. As always, we'll start with headlines from the past weekend, then our hot takes and reflections. We'll preview and break down the 2 NFL Conference Championship matchups along with our picks for each. We have an awesome top 5 this week, and one that I think all sports fans will really enjoy. And I think there's going to be a lot of debate on this one. And of course, we'll have plenty of fun and shenanigans. And Pat is going to tell us about the time he got kicked out of yoga class for excessive grunting. So stay tuned for that. We will dive into the major headlines from the past weekend right now. It starts with giving some love again to the Ohio State Buckeyes, who claimed their 9th national championship by holding off Notre Dame on Monday night and winning 34-23. The Buckeyes cap off an impressive run through the inaugural expanded 12-team playoff. They started off by whooping the Tennessee Volunteers 42-17. They then throttled Big Ten brother Oregon 41-21, avenging one of their 2 losses from the regular season. Next up was top 5 Texas, who they handled 28-14. And on Monday, the Irish became their latest victim. All 4 games against top 10 teams and massively loaded rosters, and yet the Buckeyes won all 4 games by double digits. On Monday, they got down early when Notre Dame started the game by engineering the longest drive in BCS/college football playoff history when they took 18 plays in almost 10 minutes to go up 7-0. The Bucs soon came back, though, to tie it up. Eventually, they would go up 28-7, but Notre Dame clawed their way back and were within 1 score near the end of the game. But Ohio State did enough, kicked the final field goal, and that was that. Quarterback Will Howard continued his remarkable postseason play by going 17 for 21 for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also rushing for 57 yards. Running back Quinshon Judkins was equally impressive with 100 yards on the ground and 2 TDs. Super Frosh Jeremiah Smith also contributed with 88 yards and 1 touch. On the Notre Dame side, quarterback Riley Leonard did all he could to keep his team in the game, throwing for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns while also rushing for 40. But in the end, Ohio State was the better team, and they truly deserved to win. So congratulations, Buckeyes. Oh, and it has been 1,880 days since you beat Michigan. Just saying. In the NFL, the divisional round weekend was fun and gave us lots of compelling games. And the opening one on Sunday afternoon, the Kansas City Chiefs keep on rolling, and despite not playing their starters for nearly 3 weeks, they showed no rust by handling C.J. Stroud and that feisty Texan defense, winning 23-14. And a theme that has occurred all year long, the Chiefs' offense still did not look explosive. Tight end Travis Kelce did have a good game. He tallied 117 yards and 1 touchdown, but quarterback Patrick Mahomes threw for a pedestrian 177 yards and just does not strike fear in the hearts of defenses this year like he has in the past. But what really has this Chiefs team motoring forward is their stellar defense. That unit flustered Stroud all day by sacking him 8 times and forcing several poor throws. The Chiefs move on to the AFC Conference Championship game for the 7th straight season. As much as I can't stand them, that is just incredible. So hats off, Kansas City. In that game, the Chiefs will face the Buffalo Bills, who played in the game of the weekend and held off the Baltimore Ravens when tight end Mark Andrews couldn't hold on to a 2-point conversion throw that would have tied the game with less than 2 minutes remaining. NFL MVP frontrunner Lamar Jackson had a decent game by throwing for 254 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 costly turnovers. Bills QB Josh Allen's stat line looks very very unimpressive as he only threw for 127 yards, added 20 more on the ground, but he didn't make any mistakes. He moved his team to first downs when it was critical, and he scored 2 rushing touchdowns. Allen and the Bills now travel to Arrowhead to challenge the Chiefs, with the winner punching their ticket to Super Bowl 59. In the NFC, one of the biggest surprises and upsets in recent NFL playoff history occurred on Saturday night when super rookie Jaden Daniels led his Washington Commanders squad into Detroit and absolutely manhandled the number 1 seed Lions 45-31. Daniels was simply tantalizing, throwing for nearly 300 yards and 2 touchdowns while also rushing for 51 yards. But the real difference in this game was the Commander defense forcing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 turnovers, including 3 Jared Goff interceptions. The Lions, who were the clear NFC frontrunner for the Super Bowl, disappointed greatly. They were disoriented all night, and they just never looked like the team that went 15-2 in the regular season. Massive credit to the Commanders and head coach Dan Quinn, who keep their storybook season going. They will now travel to Philadelphia to battle fellow NFC East rival the Eagles after Philly held off the LA Rams on Sunday afternoon, winning 28-22. The real story from this game was Eagles running back Saquon Barkley's scintillating performance on the ground. He toted the rock 26 times for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns and looked nearly unstoppable every time he touched the ball. The number 1 rated Eagles defense showed up strong too, and while they gave up more than 320 yards passing to quarterback Matt Stafford, they did sack him 5 times and forced a fumble. The Eagles and Commanders will face off on Sunday afternoon, with the winner heading to the Super Bowl. In the regular season, the 2 teams split their matchups, with each holding serve at home, and both games were within 1 score, so it is shaping up to be a good one. And finally, we have 2 headlines from the world of Major League Baseball, one happy and one sad. In the sad news, legendary announcer and sports personality Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, passed away at the age of 90 after a short battle with lung cancer. I'll share more about this in my hot takes, but sad news indeed. And in the happy news from the baseball world, all-time great Ichiro Suzuki was elected into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, receiving 393 of 394 possible votes, falling just 1 short of a unanimous selection. Suzuki will be officially inducted in July into Cooperstown. Bill, is there a lot of buzz in Seattle about that?
Yeah. He was one of those guys, I think, that, he wore out his welcome at some point. People got frustrated. He was an all-star. He was a stud. I never got that hate. But then as time passed and, his career wound down after going to New York and Miami, I think, and maybe one other stop, he obviously ended up back with the Mariners. People, I think, really fell back in love with Ichiro, and he said that he's going to be inducted as a Mariner. So everybody's obviously very excited about that as well.
Good.
Who's the jerk Who's the jerk who didn't vote for him?
I know. How can you not vote this guy?
Unreal.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I don't know.
Was it you,
Crazy.
Eric?
Yeah. I do not have a vote yet. Maybe someday. All right. Well, there is a lot to react to, gentlemen. So let's get into our hot takes from the past weekend's action. Yes, that's right. It is time for Sandman Sports Hot Takes, brought to you by Mike's Hot Honey. The honey's so hot, even the snowflakes in Buffalo puckered up just a little bit. Seriously, guys, if you have not tried it yet, you are missing out. This stuff is so freaking good. And I'm pissed it took me so long to find it and try it. It is now a staple in the Bierman household, and it should be in yours as well. Go to mikeshothoney.com right now and order some, or go to the honey aisle at your local grocery store. All right, Pat, start us off with your hot takes from the past weekend.
Will Howard looked great in the Natty, and I couldn't finish it because my TV upstairs wasn't working. So by then it was pretty much over. So I just turned it off. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's how my season ended, and it really just is a metaphor for kind of how my feelings are at the end of the year. The Vikes are out. I'm just turning it off. Football's done. Moving on, ready to move on to golf or baseball or something. But yeah, I mean, I thought the Buckeyes were cruising. Notre Dame, that first drive was incredible, and you're like, there's no way they can ride this kid's legs, Riley Leonard's legs, the whole game, and they didn't have any passing game, and that was it for that. The Commanders rolling into Detroit was fun to watch. and they just smoked the Lions. That's always good. High scoring, no defense. Chiefs Houston it was not fun. I mean, do we have to talk about it? The refs were paid off again, and but Eagles beating the Rams. That was a fun snow game to watch. I like the snow games. I like the winter snow
me too.
games are always fun to watch. Same with the Bills Ravens. Mark Andrews drop was he's got to feel so bad. That's just the worst, but when it's hard to catch a ball like that when you're backpedaling and it's low at your knees. If that throws a little bit higher, it's no problem. It's just a little too low when you're backpedaling on your heels. But yeah, I mean, I think, I'll probably watch the end, I guess. I've come this far. I might as well finish. I might as well finish it. But yeah, ready to move on. Ready to move on with something new.
Are you a T-Wolves guy at all? Do you get into?
Yeah, I just, I haven't gotten into them this year yet. It's just, that was all football. That was all football for the last few months. And I'm just kind of, maybe I'll read books, make, self-help books. See if I can just see what I can make of this life.
Life coaching?
Yeah.
You'd be a great life coach.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah. You ever want to talk? I'm here.
Thank you. Yeah. I might hit you up this week. I don't know.
Thanks, buddy. What about you, Bill?
You guys mentioned a few of the things I had written down, but just kind of a general theme. I thought I always enjoy the grit, like in sports, and I thought Notre Dame there, and maybe Pat had already turned this off, but those kids, man, they did not quit. Like, and it seems almost corny that we bring this up or say it, but I just love seeing that in a program of college kids. I mean, I think they were down 28-7 in the fourth quarter, if I remember right. And, they made that thing a game at the end. And anyway, I think Eric and I both share this, that Marcus Freeman maybe wasn't on our radar at the beginning of the season, or we didn't give him as much credit. Maybe he was overrated in our minds. But man, that guy really coached those kids up. And so anyway, I thought that was really cool. I think, the same thing could be said for the Rams comeback. Same thing you could possibly even say for the Baltimore comeback, although that game was a little closer, I guess. But I felt horrible for Mark Andrews. You mentioned it, Pat. Eric mentioned Ichiro. That was definitely a highlight for us. But the one thing that I was going to call out as my hot take, and we all enjoy gambling from time to time, and the segment that Scott Van Pelt does on Bad Beats is always phenomenal and painful all at the same time. But I have quite a few buddies did you guys see the intentional safety at the end of the Kansas City Chiefs game?
Yeah.
I mean, I had texts from buddies that we're talking about it yesterday and saying too soon, like to bring up the intentional safety. I mean, just the fact that line was set at 9.5 or whatever it was, and to have that intentional safety, which I don't care who you are as a football fan or coach or whatever, there was no reason for it. There was no reason for that thing to go down that way. So, boy, that was just a baffling call every which way, unless somebody knew what the spread was. It felt like to me, because I mean, it's still a 2-score game. It makes no sense. No one ever was able to explain it to me. So
I think it was to run out some more time.
Yeah, run out more clock.
3 seconds. I don't know. I mean, that does make some bit of sense, I guess. But anyway, I felt for my buddies. A couple guys had a pretty decent chunk of change on that game and with Kansas City, and of course, you guys would have said, you were wrong to be on the Kansas City side anyway, right? But anyway, those were my hot takes, Spearman. What do you got? I actually, and the one too that I know Eric's going to talk about, sorry, but Bob Uecker, I just will say my quick little piece because I know you're going to do more on him, and rightfully so. Just as a fan of baseball and sport, he's one of those guys in our youth that just sort of translated across, right? Because he was so awesome in every single thing that he did, whether you heard clips of the Brewers or he was on commercials, right? And again, I don't want to mess with Bierman's. I know he's going to get into it more, but Major League being one of my favorite movies of all time, he was just phenomenal in that movie. And so Anyway, rest in peace, Mr. Uecker.
Well, then that's where I'm going to start. As Bill just mentioned, as I announced in the headlines, the sports world lost a true legend last week. Bob Uecker, affectionately known as Mr. Baseball, passed away at 90 after a battle with cancer. Uecker began his baseball journey in 1956, signing with his hometown Milwaukee Braves. After grinding in the minors, he made it to the majors in 1962, playing for 4 teams over 6 seasons. While his .200 career batting average and backup catcher role weren't remarkable, he did actually win a World Series with the Cardinals in 1964. Where Uecker truly left his mark was behind the mic. Starting in 1971, he called play-by-play for the Brewers for an incredible 54 seasons, becoming a beloved figure in Milwaukee and beyond. His quick wit and natural charisma made him a fan favorite. Uecker became a household name in the 70s and 80s thanks to his appearances on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, where his self-deprecating humor stole the spotlight. He appeared on the show over 100 times, showcasing his comedic genius. He also became the face of Miller Lite ads, most famously starring in the Front Row commercial. Uecker was the patriarch George Owens on the TV show Mr. Belvedere for 5 seasons as well. But many of us know him best as Harry Doyle, the hilariously over-the-top broadcaster, as you mentioned, Bill, in the Major League movies. Who could forget lines like, "Just a bit outside"? Just a reminder, fans, coming up is our Die Hard night here at the stadium. Free admission to anyone who was actually alive the last time the Indians won a pennant. Haywood leads the league in most offensive categories, including nose hair. When this guy sneezes, he looks like a party favor. And then this one, I just always love this one. It's to set up, he's asking his partner, Monty, if he has anything to add, and Monty just says, no. And Doyle quips, he's not the best color man in the league for nothing, folks.
Yeah. I feel like
just...
Eric, I feel like you do that to me once in a while. When you're like, "Pat, what do you think?" And you're like, "Well, he's not the best color man in the business for nothing."
Yeah. Oh God! Beyond his wit, though, what I loved most about Uecker was his humility and his kindness. He never took himself too seriously, always trying to make people laugh, even at his own expense. That lightheartedness, I think, is rare and very needed in the world today. So, Bob Uecker, you didn't just make us laugh; you left an indelible mark on baseball, broadcasting, and comedy. Thank you, sir, for all the joy that you brought. Rest in peace, Mr. Baseball. You were simply the best. All right, for my number 2, it's kind of related to Bob Uecker and Major League. It got me thinking about long championship droughts in sports. The whole premise of that movie was how bad the Indians were and how they had won a pennant in decades. So I looked up some of the longest current championship droughts in sports. Or as I like to call it, the ultimate misery index for fan bases across the country. So let's count them down. We're just going to do 5 here. The 5 longest championship droughts across all professional sports. So number 5 is the Atlanta Hawks at 66 years. The Hawks last won a championship in 1958 as the St. Louis Hawks. Since then, it's just been decades of mediocrity. They've never even won a conference title in franchise history. Now, they are 22-20 this season in the playoff mix, but Hawks fans, I would not expect this drought to end anytime soon. Number 4, the Detroit Lions at 67 years. Lions fans had high hopes this year, but their last championship still dates back to 1957, before the Super Bowl era. They have never made it to the big game, but with Dean Campbell and a pretty damn good roster, I think in this one, there's real hope that the streak could end very soon. So stay strong and stay hopeful, Detroit. Number 3 is Sacramento Kings at 71 years. This franchise's last title came back in 1951 when they were the Rochester Royals. Since then, they've bounced around from Cincinnati to Kansas City to Sacramento, but the results really haven't changed much. Now, the Kings are also 22-20 this season and in the playoff hunt. But like the Hawks, this drought feels far from over. Number 2, the Cleveland Indians / Guardians, I guess I should say now. 76 years. They have not won a World Series since 1948. They've been heartbreakingly close, losing in the Fall Classic in 1954, 1995, 1997, and 2016. They have a pretty strong roster. Another American League Central title came under their belts last year. So there is some optimism. Maybe this year, Guardian fans, maybe this year. And number one of all futility championship droughts in professional sports. Any guesses, by the way, guys, before I say? 77 years since this team won anything.
Yeah.
This team's been around forever. And they have been bad pretty much.
I feel like we should get this,
years. Pat. As soon as you hear it, you're going to be like, yeah.
Arizona Cardinals.
Ding.
Nice.
Ding.
Nice.
Ding.
Nice.
Nicely done.
Guys, you should bring me to trivia night. You should bring me to trivia night. That's all I'm saying.
Cardinals. They have not won an NFL championship since 1947.
Wow.
Yeah, the longest active drought in North American sports. They did come close back in 2009, losing Super Bowl 43 to the Steelers. But this team really has never been able to sustain success for very long. Cardinal fans, you might want to settle in. I don't think this streak is going to end anytime soon. But, miracles do happen. Just ask Cubs fans. Just ask Red Sox fans. These things can change, and they can change just when you didn't expect it. So stay hopeful, guys. Stay hopeful. All right, well, let's break down the big games this weekend. There's only two, but they are biggies. The NFC and AFC Championship showdowns with the winners packing their bags for New Orleans and a trip to Super Bowl 59. So we'll start off with the Sunday afternoon game between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. The current line is Philly -6, and the over-under is 47.5. The weather could be a factor with the projected to be 32 degrees with a 30% chance for snow. All right, let's break it down. What are you guys' thoughts on this game, Pat? Start us off.
Well, two teams that I hate are Philly Eagles and the Chiefs. So this is a tough one for me. Based on how things are going lately, though, I feel like I should take the Eagles and I should take the Chiefs. Just even though I don't want to, as much as I don't want to. But yeah, give me Philly defense is just too good. Man, Jalen Carter, those guys are stout. Let's just put it that way. And if you get it in Philly, in some cold weather, yeah, give me the Eagles, unfortunately, even though I want Washington. What about you, Bill?
Pat. You're just brilliant.
Yeah. I know Bierman. I know where Bierman's going because I read his article, and I love that Bierman was stirring it up with a bunch of fans on Facebook saying that the Eagles were going to crush. I'm going to be the contrarian here, I guess, though, on that game, and really, I'm just going to put my full faith in Jaden Daniels. I mean, that kid has just been stellar. We've talked about it a lot on the pod. I can't remember a rookie that I've been more enamored with ever. I mean, I'm sure there are people that I'm just forgetting, but recency bias. But he has just been awesome. I think, he keeps this thing close, if not wins this thing outright. That being said, Pat's point about Philly's D, they could easily just blow this team out. I don't know. But I'm just going to roll with Jaden Daniels on that one. Bierman, what do you got on your first one?
Yeah, so, I mean, I talked about some of this in the headlines, but both these teams, they split the regular season matchups, each one at home. One game was low scoring, the other was high. I do expect this one to be an old school slugfest. The Commanders, Jane Daniels, I'm with you, Bill. Love that guy. He willed, the Commanders to beat the Lions. They won 45-31. He just was incredible in that game. But as I mentioned earlier, to me, what really both excited me about the Commanders, but also concerns me about the Commanders for this game coming up is they forced 5 turnovers in that game, which is great, but they still allowed 31 points. So The Lions turned the ball over 5 times and they still got 31 points.
It's crazy.
That's a head scratcher. The Commanders are 18th in points allowed, which I think could be a problem against the Eagles. The Eagles, Saquon Barkley, I mean, they just look unstoppable to me. That's on offense, and then you add in their top-ranked defense, both from yards and points allowed. And then you've got the Commanders. Their run defense is 30th. Their run defense is 30th. Saquon Barkley gets to run against one of the 3 worst defenses in the NFL. So I just think Barkley and Hurts are going to really exploit this matchup with their legs. So I do think it's going to be a low-scoring affair for the most part. So I do lean toward the under on this, but I've got to take the Eagles -6.
Makes sense. Yep. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, I know Mike Paston, our longtime CME Nation, he's rooting for the Eagles, big Eagles fan. I would love to see the Commanders, keep this close or even win it. I mean, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I will be surprised if they keep.
Yeah. I was talking with AJ Flanders last night at soccer, and we were talking about this, just picks for this weekend, and he just basically outlined the same things as you, and he's just like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, the Eagles are just better, and they're going to win by a touchdown, or more. So, and I was listening to him like, yeah, it's hard to argue. So yeah, makes sense, Bierman.
All right, and then for the game this weekend, the one that I think everybody is very excited to watch, the AFC Championship game, we've got the Bills heading into Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 2 points, and the over-under is 47.5. Pat, what do you got here?
I just hope it's like that overtime game a couple of years ago. Just that was one of the greatest games ever.
Was that the one
Josh
with like
Allen.
12 seconds left where
Yeah,
Mahomes scored? That was ridiculous.
And then they won the toss, and then so Buffalo didn't get the ball back or get a chance, and they
you're right.
But
that was crazy.
I just it's just no matter how if it's a game like that or if it's a close, low scoring game, you feel like the Chiefs are going to win because that's just how it is. And but this one, I don't know. Give me the Bills though, because I do think the Bills look great on offense. James Cook is running hard downhill when he gets the ball, and he can move some guys around. And you got Josh Allen, who's just creative, and you just feel like Mahomes is just so mediocre this year. How can they keep winning? So I think maybe this is the time. This is the year that Josh Allen gets it done. So as much as I shouldn't go against the Chiefs, give me the Bills. Why not? I keep going back and forth, but give me the Bills. I'm going to lock that pick in.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of what Pat said. I like the Bills, and I didn't go back and do any research, but I'm just guessing that taking 2 road teams that are both underdogs in the conference championship round doesn't play out so well very often. But that's what I'm on record for this week, and I've got Buffalo. Like Pat said, I just feel like Josh Allen is performing at MVP level. I think that they're going to be able to put up enough points to win this thing. And, even though it's at Arrowhead and Kansas City's Kansas City, Bierman, your thing earlier about 7 straight AFC Championship games, that is bonkers in this day and age of just salary cap football. Incredible that they've been able to do that. So props to the Chiefs. I know you guys love the Chiefs. Everybody wants to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, but give me the Bills.
There's only one way the Bills don't win this game, and that is if Josh Allen gets hurt early in the game. It's the only way. I have never been, well, I shouldn't say I've never been. This is as confident as I've been in an NFL pick all season long. I cannot believe that the Bills are getting points. I can't believe the Bills are getting points here. I understand it's at Arrowhead. If you followed me my skepticism of the Chiefs all season long. Talked about their offense isn't the typical offense. Their top wide receiver is rookie Xavier Worthy, who last week had 5 catches for 45 yards. That was their top receiver. He was the only receiver who caught a pass actually.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
and Kelsey, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
But he's not a
I know what you're
receiver.
saying.
I mean, he's
I
not a
know.
receiver.
Yeah,
I'm saying
I know what
they
you're saying.
still have Kelsey, and he's
Yeah.
phenomenal. But they do have great running backs in Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco, so you guys shouldn't worry if you're Chiefs fans. Yeah. Okay. Al, I do not know how the Chiefs are doing this. I don't know how they're winning these games.
Defense.
You mentioned it. You mentioned it, Pat, with the Bills. I mean, Allen is Allen, but James Cook to me, has just been phenomenal. And I said it last week. Wide receiver Khalil Shakir. I mean, he's a stud, and I just think the Bills' offense they're going to move the ball, even against, to your point, Bill. Yes, the Chiefs have a solid defense, but I think the Bills are going to be able to move it. Now, I will say, what I am concerned about is that this game is on the road. All 4 of the Bills' losses this year have come on the road against quality teams. In fact, the only quality road win that the Bills have all year was when they beat the Lions in December in a super high-scoring, fun game. But the other side of that coin is, take away the end of the season loss that the Chiefs had when they didn't start anybody, the Broncos. Their only other loss all season long was to the Bills. So the Bills have proven that they can beat the Chiefs. I don't see how the Bills lose this game. So we're going with the Bills. I don't feel good about the over-under on either side, because I could see it being a slugfest. I could see it being a shootout. So I'm not touching that, but I love the Bills plus the points.
Okay. Bills
We'll
it
see.
is.
We'll see.
Do you guys feel like it's AFC in the Super Bowl? You'd take either team.
Oh, no, I don't know if I'd say that.
Yeah.
So you think the Eagles have a legit chance?
I think the Eagles are pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to see a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl. I just think I think the line would be under 3. I don't even know who'd be favored, honestly. Probably Eagles. But I think the line would be just a point or 2, and I would love to see that.
Hopefully we get good games.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's get in to this week's top 5. We are going to kind of honor Bob Uecker again with this one. And so thank you, Bill, for coming up with this. Today, we're going to share our top 5 favorite sports movies of all time. Can be any sport, any time period, can be funny, can be serious, based on a true story or not, just has to be a sports-focused movie. This is going to be a fun one. Can't wait. So let's get right into it. Pat, kick us off with your number 5 and number 4.
All right. My number 5 is going to be Hoosiers. Okay. We've talked about Hoosiers on the show a little bit. The Picket Fence, Jimmy Chitwood.
Yep.
It's a good one. And I tried to do my picks kind of around all the sports. Like, I mean, I could have probably picked 5 baseball movies because there's so many good baseball movies. And yeah, so I'm going to go with Hoosiers though as my number 5. Gene Hackman was great. And the fact
it's a solid selection.
Solid. But yes. I think I heard that, Gene Hackman,
hated that movie.
He hated filming it. He told Dennis Hopper, like, this is going to be a bomb. This thing's terrible.
This is going to ruin our
This is going to ruin our career.
I hope you've invested your money, because we are never working. Yeah. He hated that movie.
Yeah. But it's great. It was a fantastic movie. Great cast. And then my number 4, I'm going to go with Jerry Maguire. Jerry Maguire. I thought that was a great movie. It's fun, even though Tom Cruise is kind of douchey. It was a good film. It was fun to see the agent side of it, and a lot of great cameos from sports stars. And they had me at hello. They had me at Jerry Maguire.
Love it. Those are both fantastic choices.
So, thank you, Eric.
Bill,
your validation means the world to me.
Sure it does.
Yeah, I love. I have Hoosiers on my list. It's a little higher, so a little glimpse into my top 5. But Karate Kid is my number 5 movie, and this is one I would say the only movie in my top 5 that is like nostalgia purposes. And I don't know what it is about Karate, and I'm talking about the original Karate Kid, only the original. But Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita, wax on, wax off. I mean, there's just so many bits of that movie. Elizabeth Shue. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I had a major crush on Elizabeth Shue. And
she
that
was great in The Saint with Val Kilmer.
Great movie. Yeah, great movie. That Val Kilmer documentary, by the way, have you seen that yet? Oh my gosh, that was good.
Pat, I really thought you were going to say she was great in The Sack.
No, The Saint is a movie. I want to hear this story.
Hey, Patuary.
Patuary, baby.
Yeah. Elizabeth Shue.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, I just was so enamored with Elizabeth Shue as a kid. I mean, the movie came out in 1984. I was in 4th grade. You know, and the other thing that I was going to say, and this isn't necessarily about the movie, but I don't know if you guys have seen Cobra Kai, the TV series. I just think it's clever. It's like, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, Marcy and Isaac really like it. But I just think it's a cool thing to kind of relive that. And maybe that's partly the nostalgia of this movie. But anyway,
I relived that for like 3 episodes.
And that was it. Couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it anymore. Yeah.
I'm with you. I just thought it was a clever way that they've kind of turned the tables a little bit, and Johnny is not necessarily full villain anymore. And but anyway, that's my number 5. Number 4 is White Men Can't Jump, and just one of those movies again that kind of, I guess, takes me back, not full Karate Kid mode, but I just have a quick story and why White Men Can't Jump, which came out in 1992, I believe. I was down in Southern California with my dad and my sister, and I cannot remember why we were down there. My dad will probably text me after this when he listens to it and remind me of why. But might have been training for his work, or we're just on vacation, but we're at Venice Beach. And if you guys have ever been on the Strand at Venice Beach, you know that there's basketball courts that kind of litter it, along with like handball courts and a bunch of other stuff, weights and all that. But I just decided that I was really wanting to jump into one of these games. And I mean, I was never like a D1 basketball player, but I was a good basketball player. So, you know, I wasn't making a fool of myself by getting out there. And I get partnered up with this guy, and his name is, and I'm not making any of this story up, there's no exaggerations here at all. The guy's name was D Dunk. So the letter D and Dunk, D Dunk. And everybody knew him as D Dunk. And D Dunk, not shockingly, but he could absolutely throw down the basketball. I mean, it was unbelievable. So he had the young girlfriend, a baby in a stroller. He was playing basketball and hustling guys on Venice Beach for money. So here comes white Bill Sanders, who is Billy Hoyle was the character that Woody Harrelson played in the movie. I say my name's Bill. Well, how do you think that went over? As everybody is like, oh, Billy Ho, oh, the white kid, whatever. I'm telling you guys, I don't know if I've ever shot the basketball better than I did that day on Venice Beach in my life.
Oh my God.
And we cleaned up. And I wasn't betting. I was not betting, but D-Dunk made tons of money that day.
So you lived your very own White Man Can't Jump.
I lived my very own White Man Can't Jump. And then the last thing, so cool, too, is my good buddy Blake Nixon, who I love, out in Pat's neck of the woods, Edina, Minnesota. His wife, Brini, is Sri Lankan and is just a gem of a woman. And when she met me originally, it would have been in the late 90s-ish. She, hearing that my name was Bill, started calling me Billy, but in the Rosie Perez voice from that movie. And every time I see Verini, she still calls me Billy, Billy, and it's her Sri Lankan accent and the thing. And I mean, so there's just ties into this movie that I could not avoid for my top 5. Shout out Verini. But anyway, that's my 5 and 4.
That is a cool story, dude. That's awesome.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
Really?
We played well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to start with 2 baseball movies for my number 5 and number 4. And I am confident that neither of you will have my number 5 on your list. My number 5 is a movie that only aired on HBO back in 1987. You can't buy it. You can't rent it. You can watch it on YouTube, though, in really grainy fashion. And I have several times over the past few years. I would highly recommend Anybody listening, watch this movie. It's a baseball movie called Long Gone, and it stars William Peterson, Dermot Mulroney, Virginia Madsen. So there's like some big names in this movie. It is about a minor league baseball team in the 1950s. Peterson plays manager / player Stud Cantrell. He just steals the show in this movie. It's a touching but gripping and funny movie. I mean, it's definitely leans on the comedic side of things. But I just remember watching this movie in high school on HBO and being like, why does no one else ever talk about this movie? Like, it is fantastic. So I do truly watch it every few years now. But again, the only way to watch it's on YouTube. But it's well worth it. So give it a shot. Number 4 is The Natural. We'll stick on the diamond for this one. It is kind of funny that my first 2 movies are baseball movies, because baseball was the one sport I was just so bad at growing up, and it's probably one of my least favorites to watch. I love going to baseball games, but like watching it and following it, it's definitely down compared to the other sports. But I do love me a good baseball movie to watch on the big screen. So, I mean, Robert Redford, middle-aged, Roy Hobbs, out of nowhere, superstar, turns the New York Knights from pretenders into contenders. I mean, it's a great story. You got fantastic acting by Redford and Glenn Close and Robert Duvall, and of course Wilford Brimley, who always looked like he was 80 years old and in reality was like 45. I mean, you know,
the oatmeal.
The oatmeal. The oatmeal. So it was just a great story beyond just the baseball part of it. It was just a great movie. So Natural, definitely number 4 for me. All right, Pat, what do you got for number 3 and 2?
3. We're going with Caddyshack. I guess it's technically a golf movie. Yeah. I mean, there's not a more quotable movie. Sometimes annoying, like you get out on the course and guys are quoting Caddyshack, and you're like, yeah, I've heard that one, But still, always good. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase in that movie were so good together. Even though I heard Chevy Chase is kind of a jerk to work with, God, he's so good in that movie. So yeah, give me Caddyshack at number 3, and number 2 is yeah, go ahead.
Real quick on the Chevy Chase.
Love number 2 as well.
And Bill Murray. I'm sure you both have heard this, and probably many of our listeners have too. But I always find it fascinating. Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, they're only in one scene together, and it was shot after the movie was already done. And I don't know if it was Harold Ramis, the director, producer, somebody realized that their 2 biggest stars at the time never appeared, and they're like, we gotta create something to do that. But they hated each other. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase hated each other. Now, they both said they acted professional and they made it through that scene. But that scene where they're in the shack or whatever of where Bill Murray lives, I guess.
Pool or Pond. Yeah.
And it's Pool or Pond. I mean, it's a classic scene. It's a great scene. That was shot afterwards and was just kind of a throwaway scene. But
I think that's so amazing that those guys can be so funny and not get along. I don't see how that's possible. Like, think of all like the funny people, like they generally tend to get along with people, I feel like, and it's just weird that he was
must
such
be
a jerk.
The egos.
Maybe
I think it's the egos. Yeah.
But anyhow, number 2, Slapshot.
Paul
Newman, all-time favorite actor. Love Paul Newman. Talk about quotable movies. For a Minnesota guy, the Hanson brothers are from Minnesota, so everyone growing up in Minnesota has watched this movie a million times. All the quotes. Fantastic. Anything with Paul Newman's great, but this one was so good. The Hanson brothers are just too much. They're too funny. They bring their freaking toys on the road with them, and it was great. Great movie. So Slapshot, I don't know what else I can say about it, but rest in peace, Paul Newman, the greatest actor ever.
Yeah, you're going to win some points with my dad on that one. Cool Hand Luke, one of my favorite Paul Newman
The
flicks.
Sting is the all-time best.
Yeah. Just so great.
Oh, I love the Sting.
I was at the Kraken game a few weeks back and looked down. We were there with my brother and sister-in-law, and there was a guy wearing the Hanson brothers jersey from Slapshot, which I'm sure in Minnesota you probably see all the time, but in Seattle that is not something I had seen at Kraken games. So that was pretty cool. I took a pic and like sent it to some Minnesota buddies. But anyway, yeah, those are great. I'll go quick on these ones because I know my last ones were long, but Hoosiers, Pat already mentioned. That's my number 3. Just, I mean, he actually like read some of the same things that I was going to say. Jimmy Chitwood, picket fence, just all the Hackman stuff, and Dennis Hopper. So good. Caddyshack's my number 2. So Pat nailed it with that one as well. It is funny because I feel like every single time we play golf, there will be at least one Caddyshack reference from somebody that you're playing with or myself. In the lumber yard or whatever it might be,
it seems to be either quotables. That or Happy Gilmore.
Oh yeah,
like those
shit.
two.
I didn't think of Happy Gilmore in my top 5.
As far as guys quoting on the golf course, it's either Happy Gilmore or Caddyshack.
Yeah. Great one. I just thought of, I didn't even think of Happy Gilmore. I didn't think of Kingpin either, another classic. Bill Murray. Yeah, that's right. So good. So those are my 3 and 2. Bierman, how about you, buddy?
Yeah, so I'm going to, number 3, you basically said every point that I would have said for the Karate Kid. That's my number 3.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
The only thing I will say again is Elizabeth Shue. Elizabeth.
Yeah. Oh, so cute.
My number 2. Now, great movie. And I will say Cobra Kai. I love Cobra Kai. I think it's so cool how they've brought it back, and they have made Johnny kind of the main character there. And I get clever. It. My wife thinks it's like the worst show ever. She cannot stand the acting. She can't watch a second of it. But me and my kids, we've watched it, and they're up to, I think, the 5th season now. I think it's about to be done here.
That's about 4 seasons. But I've enjoyed too long.
Yeah, I know.
This is against the grain for you,
some people can't.
This is against the grain.
I know.
Yeah, multi-season. I don't know who you are anymore.
I know, but it's been good. So. My number 2, I mentioned in my new weekly article that I'm writing for, it's not on our website right now. It's on just Facebook. But Bierman's 6-pack. I started rewatching all the Rockies, and I obviously started with the first one last weekend. My number 2 is Rocky. This movie, to me, it's one of the rare sports movies that is actually, it won awards. It actually won the Academy Award for Best Picture back in 1976, and as I rewatch it, I can understand why. It's just fantastic acting, compelling story, got a dose of a love story in there, and of course the underdog has to defy massive odds, which everyone loves. The other thing about this movie, the music, it just makes you want to go run or go punch somebody or do or work out. It's just
go up the stairs.
It does. It just, it gets your emotions going. I mentioned the article, cantankerous but lovable. Oh, listen to that.
Yeah.
That is, wow.
Yeah. Da, da. Yeah.
And you got Survivor.
Iconic.
Eye of the Tiger.
Iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. Eye of the Tiger on the 3rd one, I think, which I'm already up to Rocky 4, by the way. So
that's the one with Drago, right? The one with Drago was a good one.
The one with Drago. Yeah, that's a good one. But no, I love Mickey as his trainer too. I thought Burgess Meredith in that role was great. So, yo, Adrian, book this one as number 2, Rocky all the way. All right, what do you got for number 1?
All right, well, so I said a baseball movie. I am, there's so many good ones to choose from. I'm just going to run down a few that I really like and then give you my number 1. But Field of Dreams, obviously. Bull Durham, 8 Men Out was a great movie. Yeah. John Cusack. One of the best ever. Moneyball was really good, but the greatest of all time is The Natural. Roy Hobbs. I'm a huge fan of Redford too. Redford and Newman, those two guys, and I love that era.
Classics.
Those classical early 20th century movies. You got,
love it.
Anything that takes place in the 30s, 40s, and 50s for me. I love that time period of movies. And The Natural was such a great story. Wonder Boy. you know, and
Yeah.
unlike Eric,
Wonder Boy.
I was actually a really good baseball player growing up, and then
Believe that.
I didn't hit puberty. So for me, baseball was my sport, and so that will
You
always
look
be.
like a baseball player, dude.
Yeah, second base.
No, I played short and pitched.
Okay, sure. Middle infield.
Yeah,
I got you.
sometimes third. The hot
I
corner
would've
was
thought
good
that.
too, but
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, again,
Good hands.
you know, just not a big enough kid. You know, if
I feel
Jose
your pain.
Altuve, if Jose Altuve was around back then, he would have given me inspiration because I'm about Jose Altuve's size. But yeah, it was such a great movie though. I always loved that one.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, there's so many good baseball movies. We could all go Bierman on this one, I bet, and like have 6. You know,
For the
and
record, Pat did just go Bierman. Pat
I
gives
know,
me
he
shit
just-
all
I
the
was
time.
giving
man.
honorable
He did.
mentions.
He did.
I was saying of all
Yeah.
these great baseball movies.
Yeah,
But
I thought, you know,
but I did forget.
Hey, it's all right.
You did
It's
mention
Patuary.
Kingpin.
Pat can do whatever he wants in
And I'll throw in
Patuary.
Part B. Kingpin was fantastic, Bill.
Oh,
When you
God,
mentioned that,
Kingpin was so
there's
good.
probably so
I
many.
can't
that
believe
I'm
I
forgetting.
didn't. I
Yeah.
know. Though this is just, I love these top 5 categories where things just are like, I mean, honestly, it's hard to whittle it down from like 20, 25 down to our 5. But Sandlot, A League of Their Own, a couple other, you know, good baseball movies. You mentioned a ton of good ones. My favorite, and I don't know if this is where Bierman's going to go as well, but shout out Mr. Uecker, and we mentioned it, but Major League. Harry Doyle, rest in peace. Just so many unbelievable quotes and characters. I am going to pretend that none of the sequels ever happened. This is just Major League for me. None of the other ones. Those never happened. We also did one of our keeper baseball leagues, fantasy leagues, Major League names as the theme. And just always was a great callback to that movie. I mean, I was Joe Boo Needs a Refill. We had One Damn Hit, Sons of Geronimo, Songs of Hiawatha. Just so many great things from that movie. And, you know, just laugh your ass off, but also, you know, kind of like Eric mentioned with Rocky, it's a little bit of that love story in there, but, you know, just
Rene Russo?
so funny and good. Rene Russo was awesome in it. Wesley Snipes, Tom Berenger, you know, even the evil lady that they stripped the things off of her as they got their wins. I mean, she was awesome. You know, This Guy's Dead, cross him off then. I mean, just so many great things. So I think quotable movies with your buddies is one of the things that always ranks the highest with me. And we will just throw out still to this day, second base, shit. Like, you know, and it's like as Berenger, you know, wakes him up and he's like, you could have at least said you were from the Yankees. Hangs it up. Like just classic. So many great things. So Bierman, that's my number 1. What you got?
I love it. I love it. You guys hit on a lot that made my honorable mentions. But my number 1, I've mentioned this movie and my love for this particular game and sporting event many times on this podcast. So it shouldn't be any surprise. It was easy number 1 for me. I watch this movie several times per year. It's one of my favorite movies, period, not just sports movies. Going number 1, Miracle.
Oh yeah,
1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. To me, this movie is about as close to perfect as you can get. 1, it's based on a true story. 2, it's about the underdog beating all the odds to prevail. 3, it stirs patriotism since it's against another country. 4, it has fantastic acting, especially from Kurt Russell as legendary coach Herb Brooks. 5, I can actually remember when the real game took place and how everyone just was going crazy and just, you know, you mentioned, Bill, nostalgia. For me, this movie just hits home nostalgically. And finally, you get to hear Al Michaels state quite possibly the most famous line in all of sports history. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! I love that
when
line.
I coach tennis, I use the legs feed the wolf quote all the time.
Yeah, oh my
legs
God.
feed the wolf, boys. Let's go.
Oh,
again.
Dude, the scene when they are in Norway and they lose and what the guys are like talking about hot girls in the stands or whatever, and Herb Brooks makes them all stay on the ice after the game and just go again. Again. I think that is one of the best scenes in any sports movie. Like it's because you're like, he's gonna kill these guys. Like these kids, he's going to kill these kids. Like they can't keep doing it. And finally, Mike Eruzione says what coach was waiting for and says, "Who do you play for?" United States of America. And it's just, I don't know. I think that was a kind of a cinematic move. I don't think that actually probably happened in real life. But either way, it makes, to me, I just love that movie.
It's good.
I haven't seen it.
Well, do you want to
shut up?
You like a good patriotic story, Eric?
I love patriotic movies too.
Dude, are you a commie or what?
I know. It still blows Will away every time. Will loves that movie, my youngest son. And I don't know. I've seen parts, right? I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never sat down. I watched Rudy for the first time like a year ago or 2 years ago. That's a great sports movie. Yeah.
I'm surprised Pat didn't have Rudy on his list.
I crossed it out. It was like number 6. I like Rudy.
We'll cross it off then.
Yeah.
We
should have done top 10. There's not enough space.
Right.
Dude,
we should have
Bill,
done it.
please
I know,
go
Bierman.
watch
I know. I have to before the next podcast.
You guys haven't.
That is my homework assignment.
You have inspired me to rewrite my screenplay coming in hot, the Todd Hamernowski story, because
Yes,
there are no
curling
there are no curling movies. It will be the best epic.
Please.
So great. I love
underdog
that.
story.
Filmed in Chaska.
Yep. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Love it.
I'll start the rewrite
Bill,
tonight.
Thank you again for that topic. That was a fun one. I had probably 15 honorable mentions myself. So that was good. All right. Well, let's get into Nailed It. And I can provide an update on our listener contest and share last week's winner. We have another 2-time winner. It is Ken Wintermote for a second win of the season. So he'll get some Sandman swag in addition to him competing in the Super Bowl edition in 2 weeks with the chance for the grand prize and the awesome weekend trip with us. Ken's win was notable because he got 6 points.
Wow.
And those 6 points came from 3 nailed it's.
Whoa.
3 nailed it. So that is the most points and most nailed it's all season long for a weekly win. So very nice job, sir. Just a reminder to all our listeners that we have only 1 week left to qualify. That is this week to qualify for the Super Bowl edition. So go to our website. Yeah. Well, it is going to be Cincy.
We can say it. It's official.
Yeah, we can say it now. I think it's mathematically impossible for it not to be Cincy. But go to our website, enter CMansports.com, click on the Nailed It tab. You'll see all the relevant information, including the link to make this week's picks. Be sure to do it. It takes 2 minutes to submit your picks. You have nothing to lose. It's a lot of fun, and we hope to see your name on the leaderboard next week. All right, Bill, take it away for this week's Nailed It.
All right. Well, it is definitely official. Bierman just continues to pile on in our little mini contest here with the pod. So Bierman had 5 points last week. Impressive. I had 1. Pat had 2. Bierman is up. I think these numbers are right. Bierman is up 19 points on me in second place. Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. Great job. This week, as Bierman mentioned, is our last one before the big contest, Super Bowl, that we'll do for the winner. This one is going to be I wanted to keep this thing as clean and simple as possible this week, you guys. So this thing is going to be just super easy, slick questions. Think old school prop bets, and they're all NFL related for the conference championship games this weekend. So
love it.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be really fun. Hopefully people will hear about this and participate, because it can't get simpler and cleaner than this week. So good luck in your final chance to make the trip to Cincinnati. All right. So first question, passing yards for Jalen Hurts. Passing yards for Jalen Hurts. He averages 193.5 yards per game. All right. 3, 2, 1, send. Pat is going to hand me second place because all he put was up yours, Trebek. Love it. Love it. Bierman 200, Sanders 211. Question number 2. Rushing yards for Jaden Daniels. He averages 52.4 yards per game, which I have to admit, I was a little surprised that it was that high. Yeah. So Jaden Daniels against the number 1 Philly D. 3, 2, 1, send. Bierman 42, Sanders 66, Klett 101 rushing yards. Love it. Okay, we're going to stick with the rushing yards theme, and this guy was talked about. He's had an unbelievable year. Rushing yards for James Cook for Buffalo. This also surprised me. He only averages 63 yards a game. I was very surprised that it was that low. 3, 2, 1, send. Bierman and I on the same page. We're doing double numbers. Bierman 88, Sanders 77, Pat, Randy Moss.
Yeah, you
84.
saw it. See, I was.
Nice.
Look at that.
Like that.
You're smart.
Question number 4. Travis Kelce receiving yards. Travis, I want you guys to take a quick guess. How many receiving yards do you think he averages this year?
No, it's not many.
Yeah.
Less than 50.
Very close. 51. Yeah. I was surprised again. I mean, I know he had a decent year, not awesome, but anyway, he's been good in the playoffs. Travis Kelce receiving yards, he averages 51.4. 3, 2, 1, send. Bierman sticks with 88. Pat, 34 for his boy Kirby Puckett. Nice. And Sanders, 55. I have lots of good 55s in my brain.
The
Michael
Chiefs
Jackson.
are going to be down all game, so they're going to have to pass a ton.
They're just going to have to pass it. And Bierman's thinking 88, right on the money for Travis Kelce. How many Taylor Swift sightings will we see during the game? 88?
Hope.
That might also be accurate.
I just texted
Hopefully.
you.
88. I love it. Hopefully, yeah. She looked good coming into the game the other day. I know that. Okay. Last question. Question 5. Most total points in a game this weekend. And Bierman mentioned this earlier in Stone Cold Locks, but our over-unders are both listed at 47.5. So the question is, which game will have I want to know the total points combined the most. Is that making sense? I feel like I just confused that.
I mean, you don't have to state what game it is.
Just what's the biggest,
the most points combined.
Yeah. Combined. Yep, exactly. Thank you. I butchered that, but shouldn't have been that hard. 3, 2, 1, send. Klett, 55. That's what I had typed in first. I went with 51. Bierman, 48. You know what 51 was? It's my shout out to Ichiro. That's what it was. It was subliminal.
I had 52 and I changed it to 48 at the last second.
Yeah, love it. I just want to say as we close out, nailed it for episode 23. Huge congrats to Bierman because you absolutely crushed in this competition. I mean, honestly, I don't know if it was close after maybe the second episode. I mean, you were you put some space in between us. I think it's going to be really fun for us to get together. Sounds like there's some good steak places and other restaurants in Cincinnati. So you deserve it, buddy. Pat and I will take care of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if I can make it. I had something come up at work, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make it.
You're getting here, and we're going to have a damn
Pat
good
all of a sudden doesn't want to get out of the house.
Dude, the stories from that weekend are going to fuel about 3 or 4 of these podcast episodes, guys.
So. And we just going to sit around and watch old sports movies.
It's gonna be a blast.
Can't wait. So
it's all right. Well, Bierman, well done, buddy.
Nice
job.
Thank you, guys. Yep. I appreciate it, and I really am looking forward to hosting you guys. And in all seriousness, we are gonna have to offline talk about dates and get this planned. So
we have to bring a date.
You can bring a date.
Wives are in. Also, too, I think we need to also discuss what our next contest is going to look like. And I know we've got to kind of put our heads together about what that might be. But I think it's been awesome for everybody to participate. And I think it's going to be really fun. And, we got to come up with something else.
I agree.
For the next one. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to both of you for another super awesome episode. And thank you to all of our listeners. But it is time to sadly exit Sandman Sports. One final plea before we do. Please check us out on social media, like us, subscribe to us, and tell others about us. And back to our new website, entersandmansports.com. It's not our new website, but our updated website, new and improved. Check it out. I think you guys are going to like it. Also, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, enter Sandman Sports. Check us out at all three of those. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the second to last weekend of football for the 2024 season. Peace out. Take care. See you, boys.
Later.
Good luck, everybody. See ya.